Picture this, it's a Tuesday night and you're curled up on your couch scrolling through your favorite online marketplace. Suddenly you spot the perfect item, a hand-carved bowl from Mexico, or maybe a rare maple syrup from a small Canadian farm. It's exactly what you've been searching for, something you can't find in any local store. Excited, you click Add to Cart, already imagining the package arriving at your doorstep. But then, a red message flashes across the screen. This item cannot be shipped to your location. Confused, you double-check your address, thinking it must be a mistake. You try everything, refreshing the page, entering a different address, even reaching out to customer support. But nothing works. The option to buy has simply vanished, as if someone flipped a switch overnight. It's not just your order. Packages everywhere are stuck at the border, piling up in warehouses, unable to move forward. The digital border, once invisible, has suddenly become a wall. This isn't just a bad dream or a temporary glitch. In late August 2025, millions of Americans woke up to a new reality. Cross-border shopping with Canada and Mexico had come to a screeching halt. People checked their phones, hoping for updates, but the news was everywhere. No more packages from our neighbors. For years, we took for granted the global marketplace at our fingertips. We could order unique goods from anywhere, anytime, and expect them to arrive in days. It was a small miracle of modern life, connecting us to cultures and creators far beyond our borders. Few of us ever paused to think about the complex web of trade agreements, customs rules, and international cooperation that made this possible. It all just worked, until it didn't. Suddenly, postal services in Canada and Mexico announced they were suspending all package shipments to the U.S. post offices sat empty, counters closed, and the usual hum of activity fell silent. This wasn't a random technical issue. It was a coordinated, deliberate stop, an unprecedented move that left officials scrambling to explain and customers desperate for answers. Small businesses, hobbyists, and everyday shoppers were left stranded. Sellers who relied on cross-border customers watched their livelihoods evaporate overnight, while buyers lost access to the unique products they loved. The flow of goods, once so steady and reliable, was cut off in an instant. Delivery trucks sat idle, conveyor belts stopped, and the world felt just a little smaller. One day, you could order a custom jersey from Toronto or a handmade gift from Oaxaca. The next, those options were gone, replaced by a message saying, unavailable. So why did our closest neighbors suddenly refuse to send us packages? The answer, as it turns out, starts with decisions made right here in the US. Decisions that would ripple across borders and change the way we shop, perhaps forever. The key to this story is a rule called the de minimis exemption. Since 2016, packages under $800 could enter the US tariff-free with minimal paperwork. This made international e-commerce explode. Small sellers and big platforms alike thrived. For consumers, it meant more choices and lower prices. But US retailers argued it was unfair. Foreign sellers could ship the same goods for less, dodging tariffs. Regulators worried about illicit goods slipping through and big companies gaming the system by splitting shipments. What started as a magic trick for shoppers became a loophole for abuse. American businesses felt outmatched in their own market. The government saw lost revenue and security risks. The stage was set for a dramatic change. In 2025, the White House ended the era of easy, tariff-free shopping. First, a 25% tariff hit most goods from Canada and Mexico. Cars, lumber, electronics, you name it. Then, a 10% baseline tariff was slapped on imports from most other countries. The goal: protect American industries and level the playing field. But the real shock came July 30th. The de minimis exemption was suspended for all countries. Now every package, no matter how small, faces tariffs. The digital drawbridge was pulled up, replaced by taxes and red tape. The government floated two options: a value-based tariff, 10–40%, or a flat fee, $80, $200 per item. Suddenly, a $50 sweater from Canada could cost $130 after tariffs. The business model for low-cost international e-commerce was shattered. The Trump administration, after returning to the White House, set out to build a new kind of wall, one made not of concrete and steel, but of tariffs and trade barriers. This economic wall was designed to reshape America's relationship with the world, especially when it came to trade. Their America First agenda was more than a slogan. It was a policy blueprint aimed at protecting U.S. manufacturers, reviving American jobs, and generating revenue for the government. The administration believed that by prioritizing domestic industry, they could restore lost manufacturing power and create new opportunities for American workers. By making imported goods more expensive through tariffs, the hope was that Americans would be encouraged to buy products made at home, supporting local businesses, and keeping money within the U.S. economy. Ending the de minimis exemption, a rule that let small-value imports enter the U.S. tax-free, was a move pushed by both U.S. retailers and labor unions. They argued that this loophole unfairly subsidized foreign e-commerce giants, putting American businesses and workers at a disadvantage. The administration's goal was to ensure that all companies, whether American or foreign, played by the same tax rules. They wanted to level the playing field so that no one could exploit loopholes or avoid paying their fair share. Tariffs became a powerful tool in the administration's arsenal, used to pressure other countries into negotiating better trade deals for the U.S. The idea was to use America's economic strength to secure more favorable terms and protect national interests. The 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico weren't just about economics. They were also meant to pressure America's closest neighbors on broader trade and security issues, signaling a tougher stance in international negotiations. Critics, however, argue that tariffs are essentially a hidden tax on American consumers, leading to higher prices at the checkout and fueling inflation across the country. They warn that these costs can hit working families the hardest. But for the administration, the short-term pain of higher prices and economic disruption was seen as a necessary sacrifice for the promise of long-term gain, stronger industries, more jobs, and a more resilient economy. Ultimately, the goal was clear: to rebuild American industry, reclaim economic sovereignty, and ensure that the U.S. remained a global powerhouse for generations to come. For everyday Americans, these policies hit home fast. Suddenly, the cost of living felt heavier, and the simple act of shopping became a source of stress for families across the country. Prices jumped. Tariffs on imports meant higher costs for everything from lumber to auto parts. Even basic household goods and groceries saw price hikes, squeezing budgets that were already tight. The end of de minimis made online shopping painful. What used to be a quick, affordable way to get unique or essential items from abroad now came with surprise fees and extra paperwork. That $60 bowl from Oaxaca, now it's $140 with tariffs. The same story played out for countless other products, from handmade jewelry to specialty foods. Most people just abandon their carts. Artisans and small businesses lose sales. The ripple effect was immediate. Fewer orders meant less income for creators and entrepreneurs worldwide. Shipping delays and confusion exploded as postal services struggled with new rules. Packages piled up and tracking updates became unreliable, leaving customers in the dark. Many, like Canada and Mexico, simply stopped shipping to the U.S. rather than risk liability for uncollected taxes. International sellers found it easier to close their doors than navigate the new maze of regulations. Even if you're willing to pay, your package might not ship. Frustration grew as deliveries stalled or disappeared altogether, with little recourse for buyers. American small businesses relying on cross-border trade were hit hard. Many watched their shelves empty and their customer base shrink almost overnight. Their supply chain snapped overnight. The flow of goods that once seemed effortless was suddenly broken, leaving gaps that couldn't be filled. Now they face tough choices: pay more for domestic goods, absorb tariffs, or pass costs to customers. Each option threatens their survival and the trust of their loyal buyers. For many, the web of commerce that fueled their growth has unraveled. The connections that once made global business possible are now tangled and uncertain. The new rules have torn apart the marketplace we took for granted, leaving both buyers and sellers wondering if things will ever return to normal. Canada and Mexico weren't the first to halt shipments. Europe led the way. After the US suspended de minimis, countries like Germany, Sweden, Italy, and the UK stopped sending packages. They refused to become America's tax collectors, especially with no clear system in place. Even advanced European postal services couldn't make the new rules work. The abrupt policy change left no time to adapt. European sellers lost access to US customers overnight. The shutdown wasn't about bad relations, it was about logistics chaos. The US tried to outsource customs enforcement to foreign postal services, but they pushed back. The result, a global shipping freeze. The world's postal networks rely on cooperation and clear rules. When one country rewrites the playbook alone, the whole system can seize up. That's exactly what happened. North American trade is now in crisis. The US stands firm on tariffs, Canada and Mexico retaliate or negotiate, Canada hit back with its own 25% tariffs on US goods, Mexico is bargaining for better terms, but the de minimis rule is gone for everyone. For now, cross-border e-commerce is frozen. Watch for news of negotiations. Restoring shipping will require new systems and agreements. Until then, buying from abroad is nearly impossible or too expensive. Shipping giants may find workarounds for big businesses, but not for casual shoppers. The era of cheap, easy cross-border shopping may be over. For now, your online cart is stuck in a diplomatic traffic jam, and clicking buy will never be the same.